Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wild Man Creations. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Jay, and tonight we're going to be making some Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. And I will leave the recipe in the description box. But basically what I've got is 2.5 pounds of petite sirloin, and I want to put these in the freezer for about 20-30 minutes to firm them up. It'll make them a whole lot easier to cut them thin. And you may need to leave them in there a little bit longer if you do this. An onion, 1 red bell pepper. It calls for a green bell pepper, but you know me, I'm going to use a poblano. It calls for vegetable oil. I'm going to use some olive oil. And then we've got some seasoned salt and some garlic pepper. And finally at the end, we've got 7 ounces of provolone cheese. So I'm going to cut away for a little bit. I'm going to put the steaks in the freezer so they can firm up and we can get them trimmed up. Basically what you want to do, it makes it easier to cut the fat off and to cut them in thinner slices. It's much easier to cut meat up like that when it's, you know, kind of halfway frozen. So anyway, I'm going to throw those back in the freezer and then put that back in the refrigerator, measure this stuff out, and I'll work on prepping this stuff. So I'll bring you back in a little bit. It'll be a minute for you, but it's going to be about 30 or 40 minutes for me. So anyway, stick around. I think you're going to like this one. It's pretty good. Okay, so my meat's been in the freezer for about 30 minutes. Hey, don't go there. Don't go there. This sirloin's been in there for about 30 minutes. It could probably be in there just a little bit longer. But what I'm doing is I'm just going to get some of this fat and gristle off here. You don't want all that. You don't want to mess with it. And then basically you just want to cut it across the grain. As thinly as possible. If it's a little more firm, it's a whole lot easier to cut, I'm telling you. I probably should have left it in there another 10 or 15 minutes, but this is working okay. Yes, my hands are clean. Anyway, we're going to do that. And after we get it cut thin like that, then we're going to take it the other way and we're just going to chop it up into smaller pieces. You get the idea. And if you get some that they're a little bit bigger than the others, it's not a big deal. This is going to shrink up a little bit when you start browning it. Oh, by the way, while this was cooling down, I sliced up the onions and peppers, so they're already ready to go. And if you don't want them cut up this small, don't cut them up this small. You can leave them in slices if you want. There's some that didn't get done right there. Anyway, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the rest of these here, and then I'll bring you back. So if you guys would sit tight, and then after we get these done, we're going to saute our vegetables, and then we'll brown our meat, and this is going to come together pretty quick. So sit tight. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we're going to saute our vegetables first. It calls for vegetable oil. I'm using olive oil because that's the way I roll. It's all going to get drained off and thrown away anyway. So anyway, it tells you to throw your onions and peppers in there and saute them. I always throw my peppers in first because they're a little more tough than the onions are, and they take a little bit longer to get soft. So I usually put them in first and let them go for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 minutes more than the onions. So that's what I do. And you know, you don't want to burn these unless you like them. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily call them burnt, but maybe charred a little bit. Might make for a better flavor. I don't know. And again, with the onion, if you don't want to use a yellow onion, you could use a white onion or a red onion if you want to dress it up. You got, you know, Aunt Lizzie and Cousin Flossie coming over for supper, and you just feel like you want to impress them. You know, you could certainly do that too. Anyway, you guys don't need to watch me do this. You know how to do this stuff. I'll bring you back here in a few minutes, about the time we get done. But we're going to saute these, let them get tender, and then I'm going to take them out of the pan, put them in a bowl, and then we'll do the meat. So, if you guys would sit tight. Alright, you can see the peppers are nice and tender, the onions are translucent, they're good to go. So I'm just going to put them in a bowl, set them aside. Try to keep some of that olive oil in there. May not make it. All right, now then, put a little more olive oil in, and the recipe is going to tell you to do this in 2 batches. I'm going to try to do it in 1 batch, I think. I might be biting off more than I can chew. Done. A teaspoon and a half of seasoned salt. teaspoon of garlic pepper. Now, if you don't have garlic pepper, it's okay. Just get some garlic powder and add some pepper. Not a big deal. It'll work out, I promise. And you want to use hoagie rolls if you can. I went to the store the other day, they didn't have any hoagie rolls. Well, they had some, but they were harder to rock. So basically what I did is I bought some, they were just some regular rolls that were a whole lot more fresh than the other ones that they were trying to sell. I don't know. Anyway, improvise, observe, improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's what I did. Anyway, I'm not going to make y'all sit through this. This is going to be a little bit, so I'll bring you back here in a minute. Sit tight. Okay, so that's all brown, and I did run it through a colander and get all the fat and grease and everything off. We're going to add our onions and peppers back in. Get that all mixed up. Another good. Oh my goodness. Now the recipe calls for provolone cheese to be put on here. Come here. Get back in there. And you can certainly put whatever cheese you like. I'm sure some white cheddar would be really good in this. I'm going to put the lid on for about 4 or 5 minutes. Let that melt. We're going to mix it up and then we're going to put it on some bread. So stick around. We'll be back in a minute. All right, so, whew, baby. Oh man. Give that a little stir. Again, I think some white cheddar would be really good in this. All right, I'm gonna have to bring you back. If this is gonna burn my face off, I can't make my plate and then try to eat it real quick. So I'll be right back. Hang tight. Again, like I said, they didn't have the rolls, the hoagie rolls that I wanted. But I'm sure this is just as good. And the recipe tells you to butter your buns and do them in the oven and keep them nice and golden brown. I'm not doing that tonight. I ain't gonna have time for that. And along with this meal, we're gonna have some icebox pickles, which I've done these before. You guys can go back and look at the recipe. And these are spicy. I've got habaneros in here, so anyway, that's what she looks like. Burn my face off. I got a stall. If you guys would hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos, hit the notification bell, select all. That way you're notified whenever I make more of these things. I appreciate it. Thank you for spending your time with me. It means a lot to me. Tell your friends I need more subscriptions. You guys got to try this. You really do. Try these too. You don't have to make them spicy, but they're so easy to make. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Be kind to one another. Good night.